The warning. Space has rules. Ancient ones. Unwritten, but universally obeyed. Every empire, every federation, every warlord species knew them. You do not trespass on the Veyri's sacred nebulae. You do not disturb the Quorix graveships drifting in the silent dark. You do not awaken the sleeper stars of Dravanna. And above all, you do not cross into Earth's claimed space. No treaties named it. No borders were officially drawn. No patrol fleets flew banners over its boundaries. But everyone knew where the lines were. And everyone knew what happened when those lines were ignored. The stories were whispered in every starport, retold in every academy mess hall, dismissed by officials as superstition but carried in the undertone of every diplomat's voice. The stories spoke of fleets that entered the Soul Verge and never returned. Armadas bristling with dreadnoughts reduced to drifting wreckage. Entire species silenced after underestimating what the Terrans called home. The warnings were always the same, translated 1,000 ways into 1,000 tongues. Do not test Earth. The Council's debate. The Cthari Dominion did not believe in warnings. Inside the vaulted chamber of their war council, light shimmered across scales and mandibles, refracted from crystalline walls humming with power. At the head sat High Strategist Veilker, his carapace painted with war sigils, his 4 eyes gleaming with ambition. Our scouts confirm, he rasped, mandibles clicking. The Terran frontier is lightly defended. Their fleets are dispersed. Their colonies are scattered. Their supposed sphere of influence is a hollow myth, upheld only by fear. It is time to end the illusion. Murmurs swept the chamber. Rows of generals, admirals, and governors shifted uneasily. The name, Terran, carried weight even here, among the proud and arrogant Cthari. Admiral Sarwayanen, older and scarred from 100 battles, leaned forward. We all know the stories, strategist. Entire armadas lost. Warlords vanishing. Even the Veyri have never dared challenge them openly. Veilker's mandibles curved in something resembling a smile. Stories. Nothing more. Ancient empires protect their myths to keep us docile. The Terrans rely on fear because they cannot rely on strength. We are the Dominion. Fear bends to us, not the other way around. The council chamber pulsed with low tones of agreement. Some still shifted with unease, but others raised their claws in assent. Ambition was contagious. Veilker's voice rose, echoing in the crystal dome. We will strike. We will enter the Soul Verge, claim their colonies, and shatter their illusion. When the galaxy sees the Dominion's banners rising over Earth's territory, no one will whisper of Terran wrath again. The first crossing. The Dominion's fleet assembled over the black star of Zyros. Hundreds of warships, their hulls bristling with weapons that could scythe moons in half, formed into perfect geometric formations. Carriers the size of cities deployed wings of razor-wing fighters. Siege cruisers powered their planetary cannons, weapons designed to reduce continents to slag. At the heart of the fleet, the Spear of Dominion gleamed, a flagship carved from obsidian alloys, its spine lined with energy lances that glowed like captured suns. The fleet surged forward, engines tearing holes through subspace. They entered the border that all others had learned to skirt. For 3 days, they advanced unchallenged. No resistance. No Terran ships. No automated defenses. The Dominion warriors began to laugh. Perhaps their leaders had been right. Perhaps the warnings were truly nothing more than a ghost story. But on the 4th day, they found it. Not a fleet. Not a fortress. A warning. The monument. The Dominion scouts nearly missed it. It drifted on the edge of a dead system, a vast construct hidden within the asteroid belt. Not built, but arranged. Dozens of starship hulls, alien, unfamiliar, some ancient, some modern, were fused into a silent graveyard. Crushed dreadnoughts, shattered carriers, skeletal remains of armadas long forgotten. They weren't Terran ships. They were everyone else's. Engines burned out. Hulls split open. Entire fleets displayed like insects pinned to a collector's board. Each vessel bore the same mark scorched into its broken hull, a single word, etched in the script of its makers. Translated 1,000 different ways, it always meant the same. Leave. The Dominion captains stared in silence. Even hardened warriors felt unease coil through them. This was not a battlefield. This was a message. But Vailker only sneered. The Terrans are clever, nothing more. They build monuments to frighten the weak-minded. But we are not weak. Forward. And forward they went. First contact. The Dominion's fleet entered the Sole Verge on the 7th day. They spread across the outer colonies, small settlements clinging to distant moons and mining stations. Easy prey. The first station fell within hours. The Kthari stormed its halls, slaughtering defenders, raising banners of conquest. The screams of colonists echoed into the void. But just as quickly, the Kthari began to notice something odd. The colonists didn't beg. They didn't cower. They fought, even when outnumbered 10-1, even when victory was impossible. And when they fell with defiance in their eyes. On one captured mining outpost, a Dominion officer pressed a dying Terran against a wall, sneering into his bloodied face. "Why fight when you know it changes nothing?" The Terran coughed, smiling through broken teeth. "Because you're already dead. You just don't know it yet." Those words carried through the fleet like a virus. And then, the first Terran warship arrived. The Ghost Ship. It was small, at first glance. A single vessel, barely the size of a Dominion frigate. Its hull was ancient, scarred, painted in matte black that drank the light of nearby stars. No insignia. No fleet markings. It didn't broadcast a signal. Didn't speak. It simply drifted into view, silent. The Dominion laughed. One ship against an armada? It was absurd. Admiral Sryn frowned as he studied it through tactical arrays. Something about it was wrong. Its power readings were unstable. Like a reactor that wasn't powering a ship, but something else entirely. Before he could voice his concerns, the Ghost Ship moved. Not forward. Not back. It split. Panels along its hull shifted, unfolded, reconfigured with impossible speed. What had looked like a single vessel expanded like a predator revealing hidden fangs. Weapon arrays bloomed from every angle, black spears of energy humming with restrained violence. Its first shot cut through space like a whisper. The Dominion cruiser it struck didn't explode, it simply vanished, atoms torn apart so quickly the ship became dust before the crew even screamed. Panic rippled through the fleet. And then, the Ghost Ship spoke. Its voice wasn't sound. It was a transmission forced into every channel, every frequency, every mind. A voice that carried no anger, no hatred. Only certainty. You were warned. Leave Earth's territory. The Dominion opened fire. The lesson begins. Beams of energy, torpedoes, plasma lances, all of them converged on the single black ship. Explosions filled the void. The Dominion fleet roared in triumph. But when the fire faded, the Ghost Ship remained. Not a scratch. Its weapons unfolded fully now, each glowing like the heart of a star. It didn't fire all at once. It didn't need to. One by one, it chose targets. A destroyer. Gone. A carrier. Gone. A squadron of fighters, reduced to ash in a single burst of light. The Dominion fleet broke formation. Discipline shattered. Warriors screamed across comms, demanding orders, begging for reinforcements. But none came. Vailker snarled, mandibles clacking in rage. It is one ship. Overwhelm it. But Admiral Sryn saw the truth as dread sank into his bones. It wasn't one ship. It never had been. This was the first. There would be more. And Earth's armadas were awake. The Wrath. The first black ship was only the beginning. For every Dominion vessel it reduced to dust, whispers began to ripple through the fleet. Not from comms. Not from the Terrans. From themselves. Crews spoke in hushed tones, voices shaking, of the stories they'd once mocked. The ghost fleets. The watchers in the dark. The silent armadas that did not forget. The Kthari Dominion had entered Earth's territory. And now Earth knew. Shattered pride. Admiral Srynn watched the tactical hollow with horror. Dozens of Dominion ships were gone. Not crippled. Not disabled. Gone. Erased from the map as though they had never existed. The ghost ship still moved among them, slow, deliberate, a predator circling prey. Each time it fired, another Dominion vessel ceased to exist. And yet, High Strategist Vaelker stood on the bridge of the Spear of Dominion, mandibles flared in fury. Hold the line. Vaelker barked. They are tricks, nothing more. If one ship can erase us, then we are already dead. Prove them wrong. Crush it. The Dominion captains obeyed out of fear, not belief. Fleets converged, filling the void with torrents of weapons fire. Explosions lit the dark like false suns. The ghost ship drifted into the storm, untouched. And then, more arrived. The Black Armada. At first, it was 3. Then 10. Then 20. They did not warp in like Dominion vessels. They unfolded from the void itself, as though the blackness had been hiding them all along. Their hulls bore no emblems, no names, no banners. Only silence. The void filled with Terran warships, sleek, black, angular, built not for intimidation but for efficiency. Each bristled with weapons unseen in any archive. Some glowed with neutron-spun cores. Others shimmered with gravitational distortions, as if reality bent around their edges. Together, they formed a formation tighter than mathematics, sharper than instinct. And in unison, they spoke. Leave Earth's territory. The Dominion faltered. Even their war-trained minds recoiled from the sound. Not one voice, millions, layered. Not broadcast from ships, but from everywhere. From within their own skulls. The voice of a species speaking as one. But Vaelker laughed, his arrogance unbroken. So this is their power? Ghost stories and stolen tricks? Dominion warriors do not bow to shadows. Fire. And the Dominion fleet unleashed hell. The first wave. The Terran response was not immediate. They let the Dominion fire first, let their fury exhaust itself. Thousands of energy beams lanced across the void. Plasma storms raged. Missiles howled like comets. The Black Armada vanished in a cocoon of destruction. Dominion cheers filled comms. For a heartbeat, pride flared again. Perhaps they had done it. Perhaps the stories were false. The firestorm faded. The Terran fleet remained. Not one scar. Not one scratch. Weapons still hummed, waiting. Then the black ships answered. Their response was not a barrage. It was not fury. It was surgical. A Dominion battleship, the Iron Fong, was erased by a single flash of white light. A carrier deploying wings of fighters was sliced cleanly in half, each section drifting silently away. A squadron of escorts imploded, their hulls collapsing inward as though gravity itself had betrayed them. And still, the Terrans did not speak again. Their silence was louder than Dominion roars. Panic began to spread. Not just among the crews. Among the admirals. Among the council leaders watching from afar. The Dominion had never faced an enemy that fought like this. Not with rage, not with hunger, but with certainty. A soldier's perspective. On the Dominion warship Claw of Triumph, warrior Ketheric clung to his station, mandibles shaking. He had fought the Veiri. He had burned cities on a dozen worlds. He had never known fear like this. Through the viewport, he saw one of the black Terran ships glide past. Its surface shifted, parts of its hull reconfiguring into weapons Ketheric couldn't understand. He swore he saw shapes moving inside the hull, like shadows pressed against glass. Watching. When the ship fired, it didn't make sound, but Ketheric swore he heard screaming. Not from the Dominion crew it annihilated, but something older. Something vast. His captain barked at him to target the Terran vessel. But Ketheric's claws froze. Because deep in his bones, he understood the truth. This wasn't war. This was punishment. Veilker's defiance. On the spear of dominion, Veilker raged. His pride was not fear, it was armor. The more the Terrans destroyed, the more he screamed at his fleet to stand firm. They are not gods. They bleed like any foe. Press them. Overwhelm them. But Admiral Saruman finally spoke, his voice heavy. High strategist, they are not fighting to overwhelm us. They are fighting to end us. Veilker whirled, mandibles wide. Cowardice. Wisdom, Sarwanan whispered. He knew the truth now. The Terrans had never built fleets for conquest. They had built them for warning. For moments like this. And the Dominion had ignored it. The turning. Then came the moment no Dominion warrior forgot. The Black Fleet stopped firing. For a breathless span, silence fell. The void was still, the wrecks of Dominion vessels drifting like broken teeth. Survivors held their breath. Maybe the Terrans would relent. Maybe they had proven their point. And then, in perfect unison, the Terran ships shifted. Their weapons folded inward. Their hulls restructured. And each vessel unfurled something the Dominion had never seen. Not a weapon. Not a shield. A mark. A single glowing emblem, projected into the void. Not in Terran tongue, but in every tongue at once. Ancient translation codes, deep-rooted in galactic DNA. Every Kthari, every species across the stars could read it. This is Earth's territory. Trespass, and be erased. The Dominion froze. And then the Terrans moved again. The final lesson. The Black Armada unleashed its full power. Not beams. Not torpedoes. But something far worse. Entire Dominion warships blinked out of existence, erased not by fire but by reality itself unraveling. Time shuddered, space cracked, ships were pulled into folds of nowhere. Crews screamed as they watched stars bend and twist through their own hulls. The Dominion's proudest flagship, the Spear of Dominion, shook as energy lanced through its core. Veilker stood tall, even as his ship began to fracture. "You cannot erase us," he bellowed into the void. "We are the Dominion." For the first time, the Terrans replied. Not in unison. Not in thunder. In a single, quiet voice. So were they. And with that, the Spear of Dominion was gone. The silence after. When it was over, nothing remained. The Dominion fleet, hundreds of ships, was reduced to fragments, drifting wreckage, or nothing at all. Only a handful of crippled survivors limped away, their comms flooded with static warnings burned into their systems. The Black Armada did not pursue. They did not chase. They did not gloat. They simply turned back, folding into the void, vanishing as though they had never been. But their message lingered. Across the Dominion, across the galaxy, it spread like fire. Do not enter Earth's territory. Do not test them. Or you will be erased. Epilogue, the story. In the cycles that followed, the Dominion collapsed inward. Their pride, their expansion, their hunger for conquest, all tempered by the shadow of what they had awoken. No one spoke openly of the battle. But every child, every cadet, every commander heard the whispers. Whispers of the Black Armadas that did not bleed, did not falter, did not forgive. And the galaxy remembered. Some said the Terrans were monsters. Others said they were guardians. But all agreed on one truth. They had been warned. And they had not listened. And the price was armadas destroyed.